Hi everyone, thank you so much for joining us again for YCP Live, the industry series. I'm Erica Sable Flores and I'm the program manager for the Youth Cinema Project. If you are a YCP student or alumni, you know exactly who we are. And for those that are new to our community, the Youth Cinema Project is a 501c3 nonprofit. We are part of the Latino Film Institute, and we bring the film industry into the classrooms of public schools. So we have two professional filmmakers come into the classrooms, and they teach a film program that lasts 1 year, where the kids get to write, pitch, direct, act, produce, and do all of the job positions, crew positions in their short films. And then they get to show these films at the end of the year at our film festival, La Live. So to learn more about our program, or to watch some of our student-made films, or actually to watch some of our celebrity live reads, look around our website or our YouTube channel at the end of the workshop. And also, if you miss any episode of this industry series, you can also watch those there. Also, please subscribe to all of our social media channels to stay informed on all of the work we do. Okay, if you're watching for the first time, the industry series is an opportunity for our students to learn some film skills that we either teach in our curriculum at a really basic level, because we basically teach film in 102 hours, or we don't get to cover them at all. So for the next few weeks, we're going to be hosting workshops every Thursday after school with industry pros that will be guiding us through fun activities and learning new things. But actually, wait, we're skipping next week because of spring break. So not next week, but after that. Okay, so our guest today is Hunter Lemoine, who's a senior producer for marketing and on-air promotions at Motortrend. So welcome, Hunter. Thank you so much for being here with us. I'm very excited to learn something new today with you. All right, so let's get started right away. So why don't you tell me about yourself?
Yeah, my name is Hunter Lemoine, like Erica just said. I came to Los Angeles about 11 years ago, and when I first got here, I was initially a freelance editor. I started in the industry as a freelance editor, bouncing around from various studios and boutiques. I did that for about 6 to 7 years before I even got into producing. Producing was something I just sort of stepped into, not really knowing that's what I wanted to do, but more, it found me than I found it, and it's something that I've really, really enjoyed.
So how did you end up working in this industry altogether? Like, what made you want to go into digital filmmaking and editing and all of that when you decided to go and study that?
If I was going to be completely honest, it's a little kid. I was about 8 years old, and then I was like, I've got to make movies. I've got to be able to make some type of entertainment. And throughout our progression of media, it's become like creating content is a it's a very versatile thing. It became something that I really love to do, regardless of the medium, whether it's short form, long form, commercials, movies, documentaries. It was always something that I wanted to do and had to get involved with. It was just something that my heart longed to do, and even if I didn't know what I was actually doing or what I was called to doing, or what I was called to do, I wanted to direct initially, and then I found myself falling into editing, and I attended the Art Institute of Dallas in Texas, and I wasn't there very long, and I decided to leave there and chase a dream in LA. And in doing so, I came out here and I learned as much as a person could possibly learn, and wasn't even a drop in the bucket. I started editing, and that was where my first moment of joining the industry happened. And then from there, it's just the sky's the limit from there. I'm still continuing to grow, and currently being a producer right now. So to answer the question, from watching Jaws to film school to coming out to LA and taking risks.
Yeah, I mean, that sounds like a lot of filmmakers, actually. We watch something that we loved, and then we're like, I have to do that, and then you kind of have to figure out how to do it.
Exactly.
But also, I wanted to say something because, just being in the film industry, I noticed, and then I researched this, but for everyone who's considered careers in, as a producer, as a director, in advertising, it used to be that back in the day, the companies like Ford or Progressive Insurance or any company would literally plan 4 commercials a year. Yeah. They would have 4 commercials. They had their summer thing, their holidays thing, and now, because all of us are consuming media at such a
rapid pace,
our students are on YouTube a lot, and they're watching things, and they're watching content and consuming content, and And then now they have to create like hundreds of spots, like just to keep changing it up so that people don't get bored. So it's a really good job for as far as like job goes, because there's just need for content all the time by every company, right?
Absolutely. I think the advertisers will come to agencies to fulfill this need of making commercials nonstop, just like what you're saying, to create fresh new content for people to watch and engage within their community, to buying their product or seeing, like what you're saying, Progressive, to buying their insurance or buying McDonald's. There's always like a new ad, and I just actually said this the other day. It's crazy like how many ads McDonald's put out like in the past 2 months alone that I've seen that are completely different but say the same message, you know.
Not only that, but now there are times where like you'll see a commercial that is made for Instagram, right? Exactly. And then the same company will play a completely different commercial on Facebook for the Facebook crowd. Yeah. And then the same company will do some different thing for TikTok. And then they put something completely different on TV because all of the different people that are watching it that need to be like
absolutely. There's a different
content.
Exactly. There's a different audience for a different medium. So it's making something new and fresh for people to enjoy.
Okay, cool. So now tell me, what is the coolest job that you've ever worked on?
The coolest job that I've ever worked on. Well, I'll actually we'll come back to that because I will show you that exact clip or the project that I got to work on a little bit later.
Great. I love it.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
What is your favorite thing about your job?
My favorite thing about my job is being able to actually work with different professionals in all different sectors of film. It's really cool to be able to be somebody that's kind of in the middle between working with the director, working through the editor, and working with the client, and working with the photographer, and all these various jobs within the film industry. It's kind of a blessing being a producer because I get to actually like engage with them all differently, but also test my own boundaries as a producer and learn how far I can actually go. So it's exciting and it's not stagnant, which I love. So there's always something new to do. There's always something new to go chase. There's always something new to film, and there's always a different perspective of it. And I think being part of that melting pot, if you will, of different people and different professions and different jobs inside the film industry is always like makes it so fun. It just like gets you going. It wakes you up in the morning. It's exciting to do. So that's my favorite part.
And YCP students know this. If you were a producer, you know exactly that you're in the middle of the whole thing. You're in the middle of like talking to every department, coordinating everything for everybody. So you guys have done that too. Okay, so what is hard about your job?
What's hard is, the hardest thing for me is to actually realize from conception to delivery managing expectations through the project and through the process. So your client is asking for something and he asks it to be under a certain budget and he wants it to have a certain look and it has to include this and has to include that in your commercial or whatever you're making. And that can be a little difficult sometimes with other outside variables that can affect your shoot and affect the people that you're working with. So it can be a really stressful scenario that you can put yourself in. It can also be really difficult to work with a very small budget. It could be very difficult to work while it's raining on your shoot, or your editor is out sick. Like things like that can really make things complicated within making these projects. So sometimes just to reiterate, it's just the fact that expectations to the project, because you want to make the best product no matter what.
But so that would be like if I told you that I want a commercial and I want 100 white horses and I want them all to look like unicorns.
Exactly.
With gold horns. And I have $100 for it. And I also want to shoot it in the rain, but I don't want the white horses to get dirty. And I'm the client.
And there we go. There in turn stresses me out because now I have to think, okay, how do I work? I got to get 100 horses for $100. Wow, that's good. And then I have to make it rain, and I have to have it controlled rain, and then I can't get dirty. So that is a challenging one. I don't want to be in the shoes. Yeah, the gold horns. I don't envy that producer. So that's a tough one.
That sounds hard.
Yeah.
That sounds hard. Okay. All right. So what are we doing today? What are we learning?
We are learning how to produce a promo / commercial from the ground up, from conception to delivery. And so first off, we're going to walk through a couple basic steps, and then we're going to get to an actual edit that we finished last year for a certain client. And we'll be able to go through, and I'll show examples and shots of where things go, and representation of language and how and why you say these certain things. So
Okay, I have a quick question. So
Yeah.
when you say, I've always thought of like a promo as in my mind, like as a very short commercial that is just more simple, less story, just like a quick to the point kind of short. Is that right?
Correct. I mean, commercial is more of a broad term that you say. It can include anything from, a PSA to a car ad to insurance commercials. There is a little bit more of a granular state when you're saying this is for a promo. You're trying to make a promotion to something. You're trying to allow the audience to know, hey, I have a who'sy what's it. I have a whatchamacallit. I have an event coming up, and I want people to buy. I want people to know about. I want people to partake in. That's the difference between a little bit more of a commercial than a promo. A commercial is a little bit more informative.
Okay.
But
Sounds good. So while Hunter gets ready to teach us this thing, I want to say that I'm very happy that I don't have to draw anything today. It has been very stressful in the past few weeks, so I don't get to draw today. And then the other thing is that I read in Hunter's bio that was very cool, that he told us that he studied digital filmmaking and directing at the Art Institute of Dallas. And then he has actually edited spots for like the NFL Network, Fox Sports, ESPN, the Bleacher Report. So all of that stuff is like pretty impressive. So I'm impressed and I'm ready to learn. All right.
Well, as you can see here, I think this is like the number. We're going to go down through these threes, but I think this is the most important thing when trying to make a promo. And that is, what are you trying to promote? What is it? What could it be? Is it an event or a concert? Are you trying to let people come to your store? Are you letting people know that you're selling hats out of the back of a truck? I mean, it could be anything. You want to really explain to the audience what you have to sell, what you're trying to make, and what you're really trying to express to them. That's the key. What is it?
So this works for like any product, any service, any concert you want to promote, anything you want to sell or promote.
Exactly. Whatever you want it to be, sky's the limit. Or it's your client, or you're the or
$100 is your limit.
Yeah, exactly. $100 is your limit.
Or 20.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So before saying what are you trying to promote, it's also good to ask, who are you speaking to? Who is your audience that you want to speak to when buying this product or going to this event or sharing this experience with? It could be people in Los Angeles. It could be adults. It could be children. It could be men. It could be women. What is your product and who are you talking to? Who is that target audience that you're actually trying to speak to? If you don't know how to speak to them or who you're speaking to, you're not going to be able to make an effective promo. Nobody will understand or be able to consume that information.
So basically, if you're trying to sell something to my boomer dad, you definitely would not say things like "it's lit," because
I would think that would be a definite no-no with your script writing. You want to be able to know how to speak the language to your audience and your consumers, and especially how that relates to what you're trying to sell. Exactly. It's all within your language. It's all within your graphics. It's all within the shots that you're really choosing. It's always remember that at the beginning of your mind, at the front of your mind, that what are you making or what are you trying to promote and who are you trying to promote it for?
Who are you talking to? So you talk to them in a way that they understand it and they like it, right?
Right. Correct.
Okay.
Just like you were talking about Instagram ads earlier, Instagram ads are a little bit easier to digest and we all get to see our Instagram ads and we like them. But like if it's not something that I would be catered to or something that would speak to me, I'm not going to watch it and I'm going to pass it by. And that would be a miss on that agency.
And then I can guarantee you that if I click on that ad, my dad would not.
There it is.
So
if your dad doesn't
who
click
you're trying
on it,
to talk to.
You wouldn't click on it, yeah.
Okay.
After who are you trying to talk to, it's very important to know how do you make it happen. Now, this is going to lead us into our next point of this presentation, but how do you make it happen from conception to delivery? So a client would come to me and look at me and
tell me what's conception and what's delivery.
Okay, good question. From conception means from the very beginning of ideating. So right at the very beginning that you have an idea and you want to be able to create that and put that on screen. Well, that's where we would come in and be like, great. We would want to begin from the very, very start and get into your mind of knowing, okay, so we're supposed to make a promo about X and we're speaking to Y and this is our budget and this is how we get it done. And there's a lot of little variables that will come out there along the way that we'll touch in a moment, but those variables are essentially how you make it happen. And delivery is finishing and having your promos done pretty with graphics, the right shots, approved by the client, which is incredibly important, the right music, the right voiceover. Everything's got to feel seamless and it's got to feel perfect. So that way the audience doesn't really notice the movie magic behind it. And that's really conception to delivery.
So basically, idea to finished product.
Correct. Yes.
Idea to finished promo.
Idea to the finished promo. Exactly.
Okay.
Let's see here. And now, what we're going to do is I'm actually going to bring up a edit from a project that we did a little bit over last year, actually. And this product, the what, is actually going to be a event. It's actually going to tell people about coming to the Orange County International Auto Show. So at that auto show, you'll be able to see cars that are going to be available for consumers to try, all of the feelings and all the emotions that people are going to get to experience while they're there. And who's the who? Well, basically anybody who's going to be wanting to buy a car. Anybody who's in the market that wants to buy the latest and greatest and test drive and be able to be around those cars. People that are really automotive gear centric are really going to enjoy coming to an event like this. And it's my job to be able to show that off to them.
So basically, it's like like an auto show, which is kind of like a fair where they show cars, right? And then basically you are trying to get people to come.
Exactly. We want to be able to put butts in seats. We want them to buy tickets and we want them to come have a good time. So that way the client that came to me can make a little money. That's what it's all about, being able to make that business.
So your client came to you and said, get people to this car show.
Exactly. And I need them to get there on this date, at this location, and this is all that's going to be there at the event.
And then this type of people. Whoever the people he wants in there. Okay.
Exactly. So what we're going to do is we're going to break down and we're going to go slowly through this. Now, what you'll notice here on this top level at the top here, which needs to be turned off, those are going to be our shots that are actually included in the edit. Now, I don't want to show you some of those shots. What I want to do is I want to go through shot selections and I want to feel like what you guys think would be the best option to go there based off of the graphics and based off of the language that comes before the shot, if that makes any sense. So, does that make sense?
Yep, let's do it.
Alrighty. So what we're going to do is we're going to first play off the top. Right off the top, you want to tell people your product. And that product right there is the Orange County International Auto Show. We want to let them know, hey, this is me, the auto show, front and center. Okay? We're going to do a nice, even transition to allow people to digest that, saying to them that this is one of the largest auto shows. Who doesn't want to go to the largest auto show? Everybody wants to go to a big event. And it's also one of the largest auto shows in the nation. Ooh. Now, primarily when you're working as a producer and you start getting into the editing phase at this point, you're going to want to start realizing or putting together a game plan for how to tell this story about what it feels like to be at the nation's largest auto show. The nation's largest auto show. Now, inside of that, you want to be able to have a nice, beautiful wide shot. You want to have something that shows all the cars and all the people and the big scape and the big, beautiful wide shot to be like, wow, this is going to be everything that's going to be featured there for me to enjoy. That should be something that I would really enjoy. Now,
well, because you just told me the biggest, and then you just told me the biggest in the nation, and that is really big. So I'm assuming that's what you mean, right? Like you want to show me that it's really big.
Correct. Exactly. So we're going to go through a couple of shot selections here through A, B, C, or D, and we'll walk through it slowly. So you have a first shot selection that you could choose, and it's of a child playing with a little VR game. He's playing back and forth with his friends. Doesn't look like there's much there. We have a sales representative who's trying to sell one of these cars, one of these Fords. We have a consumer who's sitting inside one of the trucks playing with one of the dash consoles. And then we have a nice wide shot down at the bottom. That showcase, I think out of that shot, you get about 14 cars. You can see all the pretty brands. People like, I like Ford, I like Chevy. People gravitate to those brands. It's good to show that right off the top and being very literal.
I think I know the right one.
Oh, do you? Does everybody know the right one?
I mean,
what's the right one?
Because, okay, I think the right one would be because you just said, because this one, the last one that has all of the cars and the wide shot shows me that it's a really big space.
Right.
And it shows me all of the, like, I get a feeling of like, oh, largest in the nation. The other ones are fun, but
Sure.
they're more like specific people. This one is like, okay, big show, big car show, right?
Right. Ding, ding, ding. So you have
Yay.
a boy playing the VR game. You have the customer sales representative. You have people playing inside of the product. And then, like you just said, the big, beautiful brands, the cars, the layout. And naturally, that would be the most proper selection to put at the beginning of your spot. So,
And actually, the people in the chat agreed with me. So people said wide shot.
Yay.
Yay.
Very good, guys. Very good. See? And then what did we put actually in the edit for you to see? Looky there. We put
There you go. Mm-hmm.
2 pretty shots. You can see all those cars, really big, beautiful, bold colors. You want that to come across very quick to the audience. Because again, short attention spans and people want to be able to view this content quickly and effectively. And that would be a great decision right off the top, is putting a nice wide shot.
I will
Then-
tell you my attention span story at the end. I have
Okay.
an attention span story.
What'd you say? No, I'm teasing.
I'll tell you later.
No, I'm teasing. I'm teasing.
Okay.
So then we transition into the next set of graphics, so first off, we're only 6 seconds in, and now we've already told the audience what we're doing and what actually it is with a little bit more detail, and showing the view, showing the landscape and the actual room of where they're going to be looking at cars. We're going to transition to 600 of the hottest new cars, trucks, and SUVs. That's important. You're saying we're going to have over 600 cars at this show. Now that's a large amount of cars, and they'll all be the biggest brands with these various models like you just saw, seeing SUVs, trucks, and new cars. So if that's the way the script is going to go, and I'm looking inside of my shot selection here, let's go through shot number 2 together, guys. We have a couple old guys pointing at a car. We have a crash test dummy.
Okay.
We have a child sitting in the front seat of a BMW. Don't know why he's trying to drive. And then we have a truck. Looky there. Now, what do you guys think
Okay.
that it would be? Let's go one more time through.
Right.
We can do old guys pointing, crash test dummies, a kid in the front seat, or a tilt down shot of a truck.
Okay, let's see what people in the chat say. But
Yeah.
like, those old guys are pointing at cars, so it would be maybe like they're looking at cars, but
Right?
I'm
That's a
not
good reaction
seeing the
shot.
cars.
Correct.
Like, wow, but actually, because you just said like 600 cars,
Cars, trucks, and
maybe,
SUVs.
maybe I want to see cars. So the last one.
Well, there
What
we
about
go.
anyone in the chat has a different, or agrees with me or disagrees with me? But I think I want to see cars.
I think we would want
Because
to
the
see
kid,
cars
no,
too.
not the kid and not the crash test.
Yeah, no close-ups of the dummy. No need. We didn't mention a dummy. And we didn't say, check out the cool kid inside the BMW. We said,
Yeah.
check out 600 plus of the hottest new cars, trucks, and, SUVs. So
Yes.
we would want to
Yay. They
suggest.
agree
We want
with me. Truck.
Nice.
We're on
And
the right track.
Let's see what happened in the edit. Oh, look at that. We got an almost identical model of this truck, except they're 2 different makes. We have a Chevy and a Ford, and then we put in a little Corvette in there for
Ooh.
for the car people. You got cars,
Okay.
trucks, and SUVs. Then we continue on, do our shots, and the language says, and concepts and exotics. So a concept is a car that a manufacturer is about to put out that is a little bit ahead of its time. That's about to come out soon. They don't have a release date on it, but they want to give the audience a little taste. And an exotic, I think we all know what an exotic is. An exotic is one of those really beautiful Lamborghinis or Ferraris or Aston Martins that we see, McLarens, very high performance cars to be showcased at the auto show. And everybody likes to look at them, and everybody wants to buy those.
So a concept is just like a sample so that people can see it and see if they like it. And then an exotic is an expensive car.
Correct.
Pretty much. Okay.
So let's see what concepts and exotics would work in this shot selection. We have A. Oh, we have a really pretty time lapse right here of a McLaren. That's nice. And then we have a close-up of an Acura emblem. Okay. And then we have a Jeep doing a little woofer dealy thing on a pillar. Okay, so one more time, people in the chat, what do we think? What would we put in there for concepts or exotics? What do we think? McLaren.
Well, the Jeep, I think. Oh, the McLaren.
We have the Acura, or we have a Jeep.
I mean, the Jeep shot is really cool, but
It is
the
cool.
Jeep is an adventure car. So, and then
That's
the
true.
Acura is nice, but it's not an exotic. So I think this one's easy.
I think that is an easy
The
one.
McLaren.
The McLaren, looky there.
Does anyone in the chat want to fight me about it? Or are we all on the same page? Oh, somebody wants to see it again one more time. Really?
One more
Okay.
time? One more time, okay.
Let's show it.
So here's the McLaren. Nice
That's
time
option
lapse. Option number 2 is the Acura. Little hood emblem of the car. And then number 3 is the Jeep. Doing a little woofer deal coming down.
Okay. That person that wanted to see it again. Now, are we on the same page or you want to fight me? All right. One more said the McLaren. So,
All right. Let's see. We'll do McLaren and let's see
Team
what was actually
McLaren.
in the edit. We've got ourselves a concept. And looky there. We got Lamborghinis and Aston Martins, and I think there's a couple of nice GT3s and Porsches down there. Very pretty.
Wow.
I mean, those people really like going to see those cars, and that's one thing you want to call out with concepts and exotics. And just like that,
Okay.
we move to that
Sounds
part.
like we're all eventually we all got on the same page and everyone's with the McLaren. So, we're good.
Excellent. Because then the next part is also a very big part that the client really wants to express to people, that you, at this show, you can drive over 100 different cars. You can drive all of these makes and models all around the little convention center outside to really test and feel what the car feels like.
No
'Cause
way. Not the McLaren.
Not the McLaren, you are right. There are some certain cars that you're not allowed to do. But there are a good amount for people to enjoy while they're there.
There's still 100 of them you can drive.
Correct. So here we come down to shot 4. And now, there we go. Let's finish the whole sentence. So test drive 100 vehicles at the show. We're going to come over here to our shot selection. We have a really nice looking van that's just sitting. Okay. We have another really good looking Lamborghini, but it's also just sitting. Okay. Oh, some people looking at a directory. Or we have ourselves a nice Ford. Was that an Escalade? Not an Escalade, a little Ford driving around. And it says little ride and drive on the side of it.
Oh.
So what do we think?
This one is easy because
Super easy, guys? Was that one a little too easy?
I think that one's easy because they're not going to let me ride that Lamborghini, first of all.
Right.
The van, I don't want to drive. So then that leaves me with this one that says ride and drive.
Yeah, there we go.
That's my vote.
And what does everybody else think? Does everybody else agree with her, or do they want to fight her?
Let's see what everybody else says. But
Let's see.
I'm waiting to see what they say. But okay.
So
That
let's
looks
see.
like a test drive to me.
Let's see what's actually in the edit. What did we decide to put into the piece?
Yeah, ride and drive. Another vote for ride and drive.
Nice. And so instead, we added 2 shots of cars driving around. 2 cars that at the show you can drive around in. And of course, we picked a truck for people who like trucks. And then we picked a nice, I think that's a Dodge, what is it? Is that a Hellcat or a nice muscle car for somebody who really likes some speed? Everybody likes to go fast. So then the next section that we're trying to call out at the show is there's something called Camp Jeep. This was new for me. I've never heard about it. But apparently it is something at the show where you can drive and test drive Jeeps. And you can actually go up through a little course and you can drive around. So we're going to want to try to find some really cool Jeep shots that feature this. And this seems a little bit easier, right? So we have this cool Jeep coming down. Wild, right?
Yeah.
Cool little Rubicon shaking around, full family in there, nice and happy. And then we have, oh, what is that? That's a truck.
That is.
Okay. So that's a truck, but it does not look like it's a Jeep. I made this one just a little bit easier for everybody because this was new for me too, experiencing the Camp Jeep. So naturally, let's take that Jeep, let's put that Jeep shot in there. And we'll see exactly what we came out with edit. And there it is.
Whoa.
Yeah, we have a Jeep bouncing around.
That's a roller coaster for Jeeps.
There's also like 7 people in that car. It's a little unsafe, don't you think?
Oh my God.
So we put our Jeep shots in, and that leads us to one of our final graphics. And this, again, is something very important by just about every client when trying to advertise for an event. It's all about fun. They want to make sure that families can bring their children, they can bring their grandmothers, their moms, and there's something for everybody there. It's not just something for just car lovers. Somebody there will be able to enjoy it.
Yeah, it's interesting. They're putting fun for everyone because maybe
Correct.
people would think like car shows are just like for dudes or something.
Right. Not fun for just dudes, but fun for everybody. Children, older people, young people, men, women, doesn't matter. So let's look at
or you may think like you need to get a babysitter because you're not gonna, but fun
exactly.
for everybody.
This as a parent would reiterate saying, oh, I don't need to do that. I can take them with me and we can experience the auto show as a group, as a family.
Mm-hmm.
So in our shot selection for the final part of our piece is we have this shot of a guy sitting in the front seat smiling, looking very happy. We got some people clapping. All right. That looks fun.
Yeah.
Oh, little kid bouncing around with Hank the robot. That's cool. Everybody's excited when they see Hank. And then our final selection would be another Jeep shot. Oh, look at them waving at me. Look at that guy. Look how happy he is. That little kid in the back is woohooing. Oh my goodness. That looks like a lot of fun, right? All right. Now,
This
what would
one's
you
hard.
guys... This is a hard one? What does everybody think?
Because everyone looks happy.
Right.
I don't know. They all look happy to me. I'm not sure.
Shot 1, shot 2.
Anyone in the audience has a
Shot
suggestion? Because
3.
I mean,
Shot
maybe the one with the
4.
babies, because there's fun
Yeah,
for
fun.
everyone. But
It's true. That's true. Well, actually, guys,
okay.
it's a trick question. And I wanted to set this up just to let you guys know that any decision you guys make for fun with everyone, all those shots are fun. Let's show exactly what we just did. We put a little family fun, having fun in front of this VR system. Everybody's hanging around Hank the robot at the Ford booth. There's a couple girls in the back having a fun selfie action in the back of a little Mustang. And then we just do a final little recap shot of that big landscape inside of the convention center so you can see the cars and the people, and it looks like everybody's having a fun time. So any single one of those shots, trick question, any one of those shots could have worked.
Okay.
And it's definitely better to have more shots than no shots.
Right.
And finalizing everything, coming up. We're coming up back on 30 seconds, and the most typical promos are 30 seconds, from 15 seconds or 30 seconds. So in that 30-second time frame, at the very end, we have the final graphic show up, and it is the logo. So we know what the what is. We know the time, and that's September 28th through October 1st, so I know to mark my calendar, and then I know where, the Anaheim Convention Center. Now, to recap through that just one more time, we'll know that it's one of the world's, or the world, I keep saying the world's, the nation's largest auto show. We know there's going to be 600 cars, trucks, and SUVs there for everybody to see. We know there's going to be concepts and exotics. We know there's going to you're going to be able to test drive over 100 vehicles at the show. They're going to have a little featurette called Camp Jeep for people who are big outdoor enthusiasts to try the new Jeeps. And most importantly, there's fun for everybody to have at the event. So this is actually the 30-second spot. Thank you. You guys all helped me design some of those shots in there. But how about we just watch the video all the way through, and so you guys can get a feel of it for how it feels with the graphics that were chosen, the music that was chosen, the VO that was chosen, and we can all watch it, and you guys can tell us what you think in the chat.
Okay, and I have a question about it when we come back.
Yes, I'm sorry.
The Orange County Auto Show, one of the largest auto shows in the nation. Over 600 of the hottest cars, trucks, and SUVs. See concepts and exotics. Test drive over 100 vehicles at the show. And check out Camp Jeep. There's fun for everyone. The Orange County Auto Show runs September 28th through October 1st at the Anaheim Convention Center.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Very cool. I have one question. Someone in the audience is asking, what was the hardest part about putting this promo together?
The hardest part about putting this promo together was probably collecting all that footage and being able to make sure that I had shots of all of the requests that the client put down for me. He said, I definitely want you to show all those concepts and exotics. I want you to make sure that you show everybody having fun. And if you haven't been able to shoot people having fun, wait till you get to try that one. That one's really difficult to do. To have people naturally look like they're having fun. So I think getting the shots was really, really difficult.
Okay. I would say this is a good promo because I will say this. I've actually never thought that I would be interested in going to a car show because, I don't know. Maybe because I just didn't know exactly what happened there. Yeah. But now I may actually go to one because that Jeep thing with a roller coaster, I want to do that. And then, who knows if you can stay late until the end and see if someone will convince somebody to let you
drive the McLaren. Who knows? You'll have fun too, because there's fun for everybody, as you noticed.
I'm sure there's good food. Food is always, you know what I mean?
There was good food.
I don't know.
The very fair food.
That really, I don't know. That makes me want to go. So I consider this a good promo. That's what I'm going to say. And then one more question. They're asking, how long did it take to make it?
How long did it take to make it? It probably took about 2 weeks to make, with going back and forth from the client and making sure that you got the right music in there and you recorded the right VO and everything sounds perfect and making sure that it's really pretty for TV. A couple weeks. I believe that it took us about 2.5 weeks to wrap up this, from after you have all your footage to compiling, putting it together, because you don't want to miss anything. It seems like it goes very fast, but you want to make sure that you dot your I's and cross your T's to make sure that you're doing everything the best that you can to your ability through the edit, and make sure that that client is happy and people want to come. Just like she just said, she's going to come to the event. It worked.
And then wait, and hold on, I have one more question. How long did you shoot footage?
How long did we shoot? We were there.
Yeah, how long were you there filming? 1 day or more than 1 day?
I think we went for 2 days actually, because the convention center is enormous. And so as a producer, I thought to myself, well, I only have one videographer for the day because that's all they can afford. How am I supposed to cover 10,000? No, it was way more than that, 50,000 square feet in a full day and get all these little different nuances and different variables that he wanted in the trailer or inside the promo. Mm-hmm. How do you do that? Well, it's kind of hard to do that with one person, and I'm sure you guys know that too, that you have to pace yourself and you need to build out a proper schedule. So I think we did it in 2 days.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that was very cool.
Yeah.
I like it.
Cool. I'm glad you guys like it, and I'm glad that you would actually go to the event. So that means like I did my job.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's see.
You were going to show me.
Yes.
something
Yes.
else.
I'm so sorry. I was going to show you something, and thank you for reminding me. My apologies. What we're gonna do is I would like to show you guys one of my favorite things that like I got to produce, and I got to actually just produce it recently, and it's for a new show coming up, and the show is called Top Gear America, and it's a spinoff from the original Top Gear. With 3 hosts, and they test drive cars, and they do some really wacky, wild stunts. Dax Shepard's in it, if anybody knows who he is, and he's kind of a decent celebrity. So first I'd love you guys to watch it first, and then I can explain a little bit more afterwards. So I hope you guys like it.
I think he'll love that you just called him a decent celebrity.
You know, he's
yes,
not Brad Pitt.
we approve.
Yes.
We approve.
Motortrend presents Top Gear America. When these guys push cars to the limit, they burn more than rubber. Dax Shepard, Jethro Bovington, Rob Corddry. They know where they're going and exactly how to get there.
I'm just gonna say it. I love you guys.
Streaming January 29th, only on the Motortrend app.
Wow, that was cool. Wait, did you guys set that fire like for real?
We did. We had this old abandoned car, and with safety measures, of course, and the fire marshal is there, and all the permits were pulled, promise, and we lit a car on fire. And just had them walk towards us really nicely in slow motion, and we did that a few times, and that was the basis for the promo.
That's very cool.
The three points that I made in the beginning of this about what is it? Well, it's for a new show coming out on Motortrend. Who's the who? Anybody who likes cars, aftermarket, old cars, new cars. They like seeing people who break stuff and drive really fast and do wild, wacky stunts with cars would really enjoy this show. So those are the 2 things, and like I hope that's what conveyed in the promo.
Yeah. Okay. That's very cool. That everybody's saying in the chat that they loved it, and it's so cool.
Oh, cool.
So thank you for showing us that.
Of course.
And then I have another question.
Yeah.
So someone in the audience was asking, what is one of the hardest projects you've ever worked on, and why was it difficult?
One of the hardest projects that I've ever worked on. Well, I actually had to shoot a commercial at Motortrend, again, a couple years ago, and I was told to go out to a sand dune and make it look like they're in the desert, and I had to fake a desert scenario and a desert scene up in Northern California because there's small sand dunes up there. And while I got up there, I needed to have, the client asked, I need big, beautiful, sunny, gorgeous day. Okay, awesome, I can make that happen. And then the day I get out there, dumping rain. What do we do?
Oh, no.
How do we fake this? How are we supposed to do this? So we had to come up with get crafty and come up with some certain ways of shooting this and how to trick the viewer's eyes by thinking it's a big, beautiful day without having to actually show it dumping rain on us in the middle of this shoot. So that one was quite stressful, but we made it out alive. Yeah, and we were soaked, but we made it out.
But how did you shoot it so that it didn't look like it was raining?
So what we did is we actually shot a portion, the wide shots, when it wasn't raining, and we shot them away from the clouds so you could still see the pretty background and the blue sky and the sun coming in. But all the close-up shots that we did, we had it covered up and tarped, and we shot really close inside the car, really close. So that way it looked like they were driving the vehicle, but you couldn't see any of the rain coming around them. And we added some extra lights that went on top of them, so it gave the illusion that sunlight was hitting them in the face.
Okay.
So you have to get crafty. You got to figure
hard.
out. You have to figure out how to use the elements to your advantage sometimes.
Yeah, that's also one of the important things about being a producer. You got to be resourceful. You got to problem solve on the spot. and you
Yes.
just gotta be able to like keep going and figure it out. So
Exactly.
that kind of story happens all the time. So that's
You
that's
can't
important
stop,
to know.
especially when you're trying to make creative and there's money and time on the line. You got to make sure that you can get it done and not give up.
Okay, I have two more. I have another question here about
Yeah.
the previous promo. How long did that one take to put together with the fire?
With the fire, oh, that was probably I think that was a 3-day shoot. Actually, we broke that one up into sections. The fire scene took about a day to do, and with a lot of the safety precautions we had to take. And then with all the other slow motion shots that you saw them driving around in the old red Mustang, that was probably a half a day to do. It's all finding the right shot, making sure the lights are covered or the light's perfect, and then the sun's not blowing things out. The director had a real specific vision for that one, so we all had to really come together to try to make that one work. I think that took about 3 days.
Okay, and then I have a career question, but I'll ask you that at the end.
Okay, cool.
Okay, so basically everything that we learned so far, right?
Right.
I should be able to apply that to anything I want to like sell or promote.
Absolutely.
So I would be asking the same question. So like if I come to you as a client and I say to you that I want to sell, I'm making chocolates, like they're like handmade kind of artisanal chocolates that I'm making and that I want to
Great.
promote them and I want to make a promo for it.
Mm-hmm.
You could do that.
Exactly. Everything that I just explained should be used in an interchangeable way. The what is your chocolates. I think you just said artisanal chocolates, and I think the big question that you didn't answer is who's the who?
Who do I
Who
want
are
to
you
sell them
trying
to?
to sell it to? Exactly.
Well, my idea is that because I put them in little boxes that are small and cute and they have ribbons and they're just cute. My idea would be to sell them to people that are having like weddings, bar mitzvahs,
Baby showers.
like
and-
baby showers, all of that, because I feel like instead of selling you a box of chocolates, I can sell you 10 or more
Right.
because you may be giving them as little gifts or something like that because they're cute.
And right there we said it. So we know the what. We know that you're selling artisanal chocolates that are individually set up for people to buy and be able to be shared at these events, these social gatherings, these life events that we all enjoy to have chocolate at. You want to sell to people who like chocolate, obviously. People that don't want chocolate are probably not going to indulge in that. But people who love chocolate and have these life events might want to share that. I think if you can combine that in a 30-second spot by showing people enjoying the chocolates at these certain life events and showing your product in a very pretty way, I think why wouldn't people want chocolate? Why wouldn't people want to have that for their wedding or their baby shower? I think that's a no-brainer.
And then you would put in the text or the graphics just something that, like great
Right.
for gifts or like really
Just
nice
like-
for your events.
Just like how we did over here where we said concepts and exotics or 600 of the hottest cars. What you could put there is like, we have 200 styles of chocolate. That's actually a lot of chocolate styles. I'm sorry. We have 10 different styles of
5.
chocolate. 5. Sorry. My apologies. We have a lot of chocolate, obviously, that you can buy, and different styles of them, and there's different flavors, and you can have them packaged differently, and those are the kind of call-outs that you could do inside your promo.
If you can personalize them with a person's name and all of those things, you
exactly.
would put that in the promo.
Absolutely. Be like, customize your
Okay.
box today.
Okay.
Just depends on what you're trying to tell the audience. It's very clear very important before starting, how clear you can be in pre-production about deciding how literal you need to be to the audience. And you need to be very literal to people nowadays, and you need to be very interesting. Otherwise, people won't want to watch.
Yeah, that's important, which leads me to,
important.
well, two things. First, I'm so glad that, this is great because now for anybody out there who wants to promote anything, you can promote your short film, you can promote your web series, you can promote something that your grandma is making or anything that you want to sell.
Right.
You literally go to the steps and you just go, what am I selling? Who do I want to sell it to? How do I talk to those people? What is going to be attracted to them? And then you can put your promo together.
Exactly.
The other thing that I wanted to share was my attention span story, which
Okay.
is that I read that the attention span of people has actually shortened, and it used to be X amount of seconds, but like now it is shorter than the attention span of a goldfish. Like actually, like a goldfish can pay attention to something for like 9 seconds or something, and we like half of that or something like that. We cannot pay attention to anything. So that also just shows you how important it is to be to the point, to grab someone's attention immediately so that they can click or basically finish watching your 30 seconds, which seems like a big ask, but you know.
To piggyback on what you just said about having a 9-second attention span, I usually get told by my clients that through their records and through their data, they're told that people are not watching content after 4 seconds. So think of that. Now you have to think of a way of being able to express your what into your who in 2 seconds. It's very critical. It's a difficult task to do sometimes, but if you can be creative, people are really interested in creativity, and if something that's that engaging, you'll be able to stop them in their tracks.
Yeah. Marketing is so interesting. Okay. I have a couple more questions. So,
Cool.
actually, before I ask those, I'm just going to ask you a couple of things. Like how, what if somebody wants to learn how to become a producer? How would they do that? What do you have to go to school for? And how do you take the next step if you're clear that this is something that is interesting to you?
If this is something that you're interested in producing, something that I highly recommend are producing books and reading biographies by famous producers, ones who have, it doesn't really have to be large careers in these producers, but there are a lot of producers that started just like where I am, working in advertising or working in promos, that worked their way up to things that interested them more. So I think reading and digesting as much as you possibly can about people you idolize and people you respect is absolutely critical. Number 2, there's nothing wrong with admitting you don't knowing something and learning from people who know. Most people in the entertainment industry are completely open and want to be able to provide that learning and be able to help mentor people that want to get into it. If you can find yourself a small set that you can shadow on or just observe and listen, I highly recommend that. That was how I really learned too, is just putting yourself out there, being vulnerable with others around you and learning that it's okay not to know everything and to be able to work together as a team. And then guess what? Nobody knows everything. You'll eventually figure it out and you'll be able to create your own process. You'll be able to create your own creative ideas. And that's what's so beautiful about producing.
Okay, and another question from the audience. How hard is the road to becoming a producer?
How hard? I guess the road is only as hard as you make it, I guess you could say. I have other producer friends who have had no issues becoming producers. They just jumped into it and they figured it out quickly and then hit the ground running, done. And now they're smooth, they're sailing, and they make content all the time and they love it and it makes them happy. There are other ones that were like myself at the very beginning, didn't really know where I fit in with it because I came from the post-production side of it, and I also came from an ignorant side of it. I didn't know all the details. I didn't know all of like the details of permits and working with various departments and how to be creative and crafty when you have to and you get rained out. There are certain elements that kind of come at you by surprise and you have to be able to overcome and adapt. And I think the biggest thing that I've learned in the past few years is being able to not let things affect you, being able to respond accordingly and working together as a team to get that project or get that mission done.
Okay, sounds like, and you tell me if I'm right.
Yeah.
3 things that sound very important to be a producer.
Yep.
Sounds 1, to be super resourceful.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
2, to be a good communicator.
Yep.
Right?
Absolutely.
And then 3 seems to me like you have to be always willing to learn and be flexible and adaptable.
Absolutely. If you
Yeah.
can't communicate to the people around you, you're no good. You need to be able to effectively communicate to those people around the things that you're thinking and the things that you want and how you can possibly get it done. Being resourceful, that's another world. People run into problems left and right with producing, and being resourceful is an absolute key thing, being able to figure that one out.
Okay, and then I have a last question here. What are some tips that you would give to becoming a better producer?
Some tips I would give to being a better producer. I would, that's a really good question. Tips that I would give for being a producer would be to, it took me off guard on that one, I'm sorry. Being able to, just like what I said, resourcefulness is very important, and being able to overcome and adapt will take you farther as a producer. Patience is another thing that I've really learned, and I think if I could help people really at a young age, developing patience for when something just isn't quite working right. Sometimes I see on set people overreact or allow their emotions to control a decision or control a situation, and you can't have that. You're steering the ship as a producer. You've got to make sure that everybody is on the same track to be able to get to the end of the road, and you want to be able to lead by example. You don't want to allow people to see that you're ruffled or bothered. It's being able to keep a clear mindset. How do you let the creative elements still rise without allowing yourself to be bogged down by outside forces or variables, or like the raining out a shoot, for instance, but you can't cancel the shoot.
But that story tells me that one thing that sounds very important as a thing to be a better producer, being prepared, because you had the tarps in there to basically when it rained, if you could have gotten to the dune and not have the tarps, and then what are you going to do? But you prepared and you thought about it, and you were like, well, maybe it won't rain, but what if it does? And then I'm going to be prepared for like 17 different things that could go wrong so that you can resolve them easily.
That's absolutely a good point. Being overly prepared. Don't ever think you are prepared, because the second you think you're prepared, Mother Nature or the bank man will come at you and tell you that you're not prepared. So you need to make sure that you really are overly prepared. And I have associate producers ask me all the time, why are you doing this and doing that? Because what if this happens? What if that happens? It's good to have an extra set of batteries. It's good to have 2 or 3 extra tripods just in case you're on a shoot. I mean, those things are important in case you never know what happens.
Yeah. And if you don't have 3 tripods because you're in a low budget shoot, bring some duct tape.
Bring Apple boxes, or set it on a car, or have a really tall friend, or I keep going. Resourcefulness. See? Resourcefulness. I like it. All right. Well, that was so great. Thank you so much, Hunter, for being here with us and for sharing your work and for helping our students learn something new. I hope that you will come back soon and join us on our next industry series and show my final chocolate promo that has 100 horses in it and a unicorn. Absolutely. Thank you very much for having me, and this has been a lot of fun, and I'd be happy to come back and keep doing this. Okay, anything else you want to say to our students before you leave? Yeah, there absolutely is one thing I'd like to say, and I just want to reiterate this again. I'm sure it's something that it's heard often, but just remember that when you're making your story, regardless of how big it is, regardless of how small it is, you're as big as you feel. Do not feel like your story, do not feel like your energy, do not feel like your effort and soul that you put into your craft is not worthy. Remember that it's a game of working as strong groups and working with teams and being able to be a polite individual with a creative soul, and just don't feel like your story is not worthy of being told. Keep pushing, and don't let anybody tell you no. And don't let anybody tell you that you can't make something. Just keep pushing, regardless of what anybody says. Every story needs to be told.
Love it. That is so nice. And actually, a really good point, because our students work like a lot of YCP work has to do with teamwork. And filmmaking is a team sport. Like, none of us do all of the jobs. All of us do one job, and then you need an entire team to like make something happen and put something together. Like a 15-second promo needs an entire team. So be nice, learn to work in teams, because that is just going to help you make a strong team that is going to get you through with any project. So that's like super good advice.
Absolutely.
All right. Thank you for that, Hunter. See you soon. And thanks again for sharing all of that with us.
Of course.
Okay. So that is it for today. We hope you enjoyed the workshop and that you join us in 2 weeks. Remember, we're skipping one for spring break. For our next episode of the Industry Series, we're going to be learning special effects makeup. So we're going to learn how to make a horror wound. Sabrina Osuna is going to be here teaching us how to do that. It's going to be super fun. So if you are into makeup, horror stuff, and creepy, scary special effects, do not miss it. So thank you for watching, and we will see you in a couple of weeks.